Welcome to Books in the Freezer, a podcast dedicated to the deliciously disturbing world of horror fiction. I'm your host, Stephanie, and today I am joined by author Rae Wilde to talk about horror books with toxic relationships and her latest novel, I Can Fix Her. So, Rae, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I have listened to the show. I am sufficiently intimidated and excited to jump into everything.
You do not need to be. I am very happy to have you.
Thank you.
Uh, you need to tell our listeners a little bit about I Can Fix Her.
Yeah, I would love to. So, I Can Fix Her came out on June 3rd from Clash Books. It is a short horror novel centering on a sapphic relationship between Johnny and Alice, who are exes but run into each other again, decide to give it another shot, and it's over a week. We kind of explore whether or not people can change to make it work with the one who got away.
Oh man, this was such a trip to read because you're like, oh my God, it's not even like I can fix her. It's like, let's make each other worse.
Yeah. I was very inspired. I saw the meme that's like, I can fix her. And it's like, well, I can make her worse.
Yeah.
Um, but that's so real. I feel like so much of the time, like my experiences, my friends' experiences, when they go back to that ex who was like the one who got away, it's less of a can we be better for each other and more of a like how far down the scale can we slide together.
I get that. And I also feel like maybe this is a little healing because I have such a soft spot for like right person, wrong time stories. So I'm just going to imagine that it would have ended poorly anyway. And so I don't need to mourn this relationship. I can watch La La Land and past lives in peace now.
Yeah. I think that's a very real temptation for people, though,
Yeah.
to think like, well, if this or that was different, maybe everything would have been better. And how true that is, I think, is up for debate.
Yeah. It's funny because I do feel like I'm like the naive optimist. Like I watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and I really think I'm like, I think they're going to work it out this time. I think this time everything's going to be fine. I think they've learned their lesson. So maybe I would be the characters in this book, unfortunately.
Oh, I have been the characters in this book, so no judgment here.
It is interesting to read about this relationship, and I think the specific ways that they play off each other, like, I feel like the way Alice kind of, like, breadcrumbs Johnny and, like, kind of gives her, like, just enough to, like, keep coming back, and you're watching this, and we're reading this, like, kind of from Johnny's perspective original like, at the
Mhm.
beginning, and it is just so intense and ultimately frustrating to watch people just fall into like the same cycle over and over again as like the setting and everything around them just becomes like increasingly nightmarish and insane.
Yeah. I think unfortunately it can be sort of a common dynamic where you have one person in a relationship who is kind of aloof and obsessed with themselves and they attract a partner who is also obsessed with them. So it's like
Yeah.
everybody loves the one partner. In this case it's Alice. And yeah, I mean, I've definitely had that experience and I just kind of wanted to play with that on the page. I think that's a really dangerous combination when one person is like, I'm the best there's ever been, and the other one is like, you're right. Like, you know?
You are in fact the best.
Mhm.
Okay, so for our episode on toxic relationships, I mean, toxic relationships don't always have to be romantic. I think the majority of my book picks are leaning towards romantic relationships, but I mean, there's like toxic employer employee. There's a like
Yeah, for
Renfield.
sure. Yeah, no, I think they come in all any relationship could be a toxic
That's true.
relationship.
Every relationship has the potential to be toxic.
Hashtag inspiring, maybe. I don't know.
I loved that you said that this is like I will find you in every lifetime threatening,
Yeah, as a
but
threat.
a threat.
As a threat. Well, I've mentioned this before, but, like, I'm sort of fascinated by the concept of, like, okay, so everybody talks about the one, quote, unquote,
Yes.
right? Like, your soulmate, the one.
Mhm,
But then we also talk about the one who got away, and I
mhm.
like to think of them as, like, your anti-soulmate. Like, I am also appearing in every lifetime, but it is for nefarious reasons. Like, I am here to teach you a lesson, you know? But it's equally inescapable. Like, I kind of love the idea of that.
I am obsessed with that. Like, yes, I will find you in every lifetime. I am your lesson to learn.
Right, you will rue the day. Like
It's so interesting because I grew up in, like, a very high control religion and purity culture, and I don't know if you grew up similarly, but there is this, like, mythologization of, like, your future husband. Everything you are doing is for, like, hypothetical future partner, like, your body is not your own, it belongs to, like, some man,
sure.
and now that I have friends who have grown up and are now, a lot of them getting divorced after marrying someone that they married really young, it fucks with them. The idea of
Yeah.
like, what does this mean then if there is no the one?
Yeah, I mean, so I my parents are former hippies, so religion was a confusing thing in my household. So, my experience in that way was different growing up, but I'm twice divorced and can certainly relate to kind of rumbling with, like, is there a one? Is there a soulmate? What does it mean if I thought someone was that person at one
Yeah.
point and it turned out I was wrong? What does it mean when that happened more than once? You know, it can really cause you to call your own judgment into question.
Yeah.
So I think it's a super difficult experience for anyone. And then there's all kinds of layers, like, religious layers, trauma layers, all types of other confounding variables that can get laid on top of that.
Absolutely. Well, should we talk about some movies that deal with some toxic relationships? I don't
Yeah.
know if you're going to come in with your hot take that we talked about.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah. You want me to start there?
I mean, we could start. That is, like, coming in hot. I feel like it's gonna
Okay.
be one of those things where the presses are gonna be like, Rae Wilde, pro.
Maybe. Yeah. Ray Wilde comes out with a hot take. Okay. So understand, I know that this is not horror. Most of our examples are horror, but I could not talk about toxic relationships without bringing up Jamie and Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones.
I'm obsessed with this.
And I am speaking as a fan, as a huge fan of this relationship. So, get the fingers ready to cancel me online for this. But I cannot help but root for this crazy toxic relationship between this twin brother and sister. I find it so fascinating. And to me, like, there's something really wicked and sinister about it being twins, like beyond just the
Yeah,
obvious incest thing.
it adds a whole other layer. You're absolutely right.
It's a whole other layer, and it's like, my question is, like, Cersei, do you love Jamie, or is he just the closest thing to loving yourself in the
Yeah.
world? And are you just that obsessed with yourself? But I just, like, eat it up. Like, give me a million helpings. I can't get enough.
I mean, I feel like the writers maybe have to agree a little bit with the ending they got.
Yeah. Yeah, potentially. I have a lot of thoughts about the endings of Game of Thrones for all of the characters, which would totally sidetrack us, so I won't do that. But suffice to say, I'm a huge, loud and proud fan of Jamie and Cersei and their nightmare relationship.
Truly a nightmare relationship.
Mhm.
I think the first one I had on here was Gone Girl. And I mean, I think Amy Dunn is just kind of matching his toxicity,
Oh my god,
but
iconic.
so
Iconic.
I
Blueprint.
I can't really be mad at her, but her her game is top notch.
Oh,
Her
I'm not
like
mad
think
at all. Again, hashtag inspiring. Like, I The way she uses all of these misogynistic tropes and assumptions about women and weaponizes them against her husband for the purposes of revenge is just like, what a hero, what a triumph. I'm forced to be on her side every single time.
And even in the end where she's like, "You wouldn't be happy with anyone else but me." Like, at the end of the day, you fucking love this. I'm like,
Right.
It is kind of iconic. I can't."
Can I
Like,
curse on here? Is that
absolutely.
when she says, "I'm the cunt you married," because I'm like, say it, like, drop the mic. It's so good.
She's a toxic queen. We stan.
Mhm.
Book Amy, I will say, I think is a little more toxic than movie Amy. I think there's just like a handful of other things she does that like bring her up like a level. Do I still stan? Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love them both in the book and in the movie. And that one line actually just reminded me. I don't know if you've seen Deep Water. It's terrible. Or like Dark Water with Ben Affleck.
Yes.
Okay, it's not
I
a
did
good
not care for
movie.
it. Yeah.
However, the one line where so she has obviously been out all night cheating on him and comes home in the morning and she's still like in her dress from the night before and he's like confronting her about, what she's doing, whatever, whatever, whatever. And she turns around, cold as ice, and just goes, "If you were married to anyone else, you'd be so bored you'd fucking kill yourself." And turns around and walks the rest of the way up the stairs, and it's like that same
Yeah.
energy, and I'm like, "Poetry snaps, like, get him, girl."
And this is the only justice Ben Affleck will see for his crimes.
Right.
So
That's true, yes.
he IRL seems like a toxic partner.
I agree. I agree. I don't trust that smirky smile.
The smirk, I do love the Duncan memes. So,
I don't know
but
if I'm familiar.
just I feel like there's always pictures being snapped of him just like looking exasperated, holding Dunkin' Donuts iced coffees.
Oh, yes, you're
And
right, I
there's just
have
like
seen that. He just looks tired.
I relate to the level of exasperation.
Same, yes.
I also had Midsummer on here. Christian absolutely sucks. I know the director's cut is a lot more clear cut about him being a shitty partner. Like he's even worse in the director's cut, which
Mhm.
I haven't seen, but I think from the beginning, this poor girl going through this unmistakable tragedy and just really being seen as a burden
Right, right, like,
to her
"Oh,
partner and his friends every single step of the way.
yeah." It's like, "Your family died, what a bummer you are." It's awful.
Absolutely. So in the end, even though points could be made, was it deserved? I just can't help but be like, mm,
Right. I'm not mad about it, you know?
mhm.
Well, let me just say this too up front. I will fully confess that, like, it's very hard for me to not be on a woman's side. You know what I mean? Like, I saw a TikTok the other day that was like, "Oh, she ran you over with a car. Well, like, what did you do to deserve that?" Like, and like that resonates with me a lot. Like, it's difficult for me to not take a woman's side against a man, no matter what. Um,
Well, you have a short story collection titled I Do Not
yes,
Apologize for My Position on Men. So
right,
I feel like on
right.
brand. Hashtag on brand.
Yeah, I just think they should be apologizing more and like I don't know, I think any consequences that a man ever faces, even if it feels undeserved in that situation, like I'm sure you did something prior that like, you know
It's
what
what
I mean?
it's from another life.
Right, right. Perhaps one of the most iconic toxic relationships ever put to film is the Interview with the Vampire TV series between Louis and Lestat. I eat that up. Season 1 of that television show is one of the best seasons of television I've ever seen in my life. Front to back, incredible work. I'm obsessed with Lestat. He can do no wrong for me. Obviously, he's doing a lot of wrong, but in like a yes, queen sort of way, like in my mind. And I love that dynamic of like not in real life. I love it in fiction where it's like, you know, the extremely charismatic, sort of learned, maybe a little exotic, like Lestat is French, and get super controlling because they're actually obsessed with their partner. And like, ooh, I just eat that up.
I have not watched the series. I have read the book and I've watched the movie, but I do love the Louis Lestat relationship.
Highly recommend the series.
I know everyone's been yelling at me to watch it. And I mean, they even throw a kid into the mix when things get rough,
Right.
classic move.
And she's so incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
every role is incredible. But yeah, I actually DNF'd the book because there was a line, I hit a line about, oh my God, am I blanking on her name? Claudia, the little girl that made me go, oh, Anne Rice, no. Because it was
Oh,
like,
because like she's mentally getting older, but she's stuck in this
no,
little body, or is it something
it
else?
was Louis kind of sexualizing her, and she was, like quite young. And I was like, I can't really ride with you on this journey anymore, Anne Rice, but I wish you well. So, okay, let's see. I also threw Saltburn on here. Have you seen Saltburn?
Yes, I have.
Like, drink the bathtub water. Like, be unhinged. And like, so I feel like unhinged gets thrown around a lot these days when people are talking about characters, but like, I think it's overused and it's lost meaning. Like Saltburn, when I say unhinged, this is what I'm talking about. Like, pull your pants down at my grave. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
put your money where your mouth is. Be villainously obsessed, and you have my attention.
absolutely. I feel like Barry Keoghan, or however you say it, um, is always just playing a little freak, and I
Yeah,
love that for him.
yeah.
He's
No,
just always gonna be a little freak.
it's excellent. The other one I threw on here was Love Lies Bleeding. As a lesbian, I'm sad to report to my fellow lesbians, I did not love this as much as I thought I would in terms of like a movie. It went to a weird place, which I think a lot of people loved. I did not love it as much. But again, toxic relationship. We had queer representation, queers being, nasty people making bad choices, which I love to see
Yeah,
personally. Um, and it was super fun. So I threw that in there.
I love that. I also added in The Invisible Man, the one that came out in like 2020 with Elizabeth Moss, and this is like the scary abusive, like, toxic relationship, like, controlling man. When the movie opens up, it is her escape. So it's, like, the very tense, like, she drugged him to go to sleep. She is, like, counting her footsteps to, like, get her stuff and, like, has her getaway planned. It is, like, that extremely tense, like, if one single thing goes wrong, you know that she's just absolutely fucked.
Yeah. It's so tense, this movie, and terrifying.
It is. You know what movie I was obsessed with when I was little? Sleeping with the Enemy with Julia Roberts, which is, like, also similar, like, getting
Amazing.
away from a scary abusive relationship via faking your own death and starting a new life.
It's a really interesting favorite for childhood.
I don't know why I, like, loved it so much, and I
That's
don't know what that says about me, but here we are.
You love intensity.
Are we ready to talk about some books?
I am, and you put a lot of ones on your list that I would have put on mine, so really
Oh,
excited
good.
to dig into it.
Okay, cool. We'll have a lot to talk about then.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to open up with In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. This is her essay collection slash memoir about her toxic romantic relationship she had with an ex-girlfriend. Um, and the way that the essays or chapters are titled, they're all kind of like within the theme of this relationship as a dream house. And each essay is like a different genre. So it's like Dream House as noir, Dream House as Lovecraftian horror. And it's digging into like different aspects of this toxic relationship. The chapters of like when it was good, we had this great day. So here's
Mm.
Dream House as rom-com. And then getting into the manipulation, the scarier stuff, the breakup, and moving on with that. And yeah, like close to the end of the book, she talks about how she felt really lonely in this because queer relationships are idolized and put on a pedestal. So it makes it tough to talk about like intimate partner violence when you're in a queer relationship.
Yeah.
Um, and I loved this book. It was, I mean, the device for it is so creative and interesting, and it's a well-written, just vulnerable story about her own experience in this relationship.
That sounds fascinating. I would probably love this.
Yeah.
Right up my alley.
So that is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado.
Amazing. Can we both talk about Things Have Gotten Worse since we last spoke?
Absolutely.
This was the first thing I ever read from Eric LaRocca, who I love.
Yeah.
He's the best. So first of all, I want to say epistolary, which I love an epistolary story, especially a sapphic epistolary. Something about sapphic relationships and epistolary, it just goes together like peanut butter and jelly. I don't know what it is. But absolutely haunting the way it subtly turns from like this casual, pretty innocent interaction over buying an apple peeler, right?
Yes.
Into something absolutely depraved.
Absolutely, and I think the way yeah, I mean, the toxicity, the way that they feed off of each other, but the way that they, like, isolate you and,
Mhm.
like, separate you and, like, have her, like, give over her money, like, have her, like, give over control over her entire life.
Yeah. No, it's terrifying, and it's, gut churning, some of the body horror that is
Yeah.
in it. Ugh. Have a strong stomach if you wanna read Things Have Gotten Worse since we last spoke.
I would put it in the freezer. I didn't, uh, rate Carmen's because it's a memoir, but it's, like, room temperature, but, no, things have gotten worse since we last spoke. I would put in the freezer.
I also would. You should be in a good place if you're gonna crack the spine on this one. Feeling mentally strong, you know?
I made, like, a video post several years ago that was kind of like a sarcastic Valentine's Day recommendation with, like, horror
Mm.
books, and this was on it. They were all just like said it was like this, it was Audition, was You by Caroline
Uh-huh.
Kepnes. Just, like, the worst of the worst.
Mhm.
Okay, my next pick is Sundial by Catriona Ward, and this is about a woman named Rob who there's, like, several layers of toxic relationships in this. Um, but when we open up, Rob is married to Irving. They have 2 girls, and she's worried about her daughter, Callie, and she feels that she needs to take her back to Sundial to kind of spend some one-on-one time with Callie and really see what's going on.
Mhm.
And we learn that Sundial is this kind of compound in the desert where she grew up with, her sister and her parents, and as you get into the novel, you learn more about those dynamics and that relationship. But the first relationship that we see early on in the novel is Rob and her husband, Irving, and that is, like, the relationship that is, like, full of gaslighting and manipulation, and you can just feel the way that it's written, it made me like I was like, "Ugh," like, so tense and on edge in the way that you feel the way that she has to, like, think about every interaction she has with him. She has to pick her words carefully. She has to think, like, 2 steps ahead and constantly be worried about Irving's reaction to things.
Mhm.
And it was
Mhm.
like that in a horror novel where other horrifying things happen, that had me so stressed out, like, on the edge of my
Yeah.
seat. Ugh.
And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember it has a really striking opening line, and it's something along the lines of like, when such and such happens, I know that my husband is cheating on me." And it's
Yes. Yeah.
seemingly totally unrelated, and I remember that drawing me into the story right away and being like, "I'm sorry, what? I'm gonna need you to explain," and like,
Yeah, like, get into it. From what I remember, I would say this is a fridge book, but I do remember being absolutely immediately unsettled in those first few chapters when we're laying out what the Rob Irving dynamic is and what she feels like she can and can't say despite what she knows about what's going on.
Yeah,
Like, she's very powerless.
yeah. I don't know that this is a freezer book for me, but I will say The Last House on Needless Street from Catcher in a Word, absolutely one of the most, again, gut-wrenching books I've ever read. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I added We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I wanted to bring this one in because of course, there's all different types of toxic relationships that we can see in a story. But what I loved about this particular toxic relationship, and I do mean the relationship between the two sisters, because I think there's an argument to be made that every relationship that's in this book is toxic. But the odd relationship between the two sisters is that in the end, you almost, at least I did, almost sort of felt like, okay, I think I'm on their side though. Like I think all their like weirdness and like isolation, like I think they were right about that, you know? And I think that's always an interesting way to frame a story, like to have this obviously very odd family with very odd and dangerous potentially behaviors, but the narrative unfolds in such a way that at the end, like you're totally on their side and you're like, no, like do shut yourselves in, like do keep being odd. You were great, and just leave all these quote unquote normal people to their own devices. Like we're on your team.
Like, you just keep doing your little, like, outdoor spells.
Right.
The
Yeah.
people in town, they're not gonna understand. They don't get
No.
it.
Like
They
keep
don't get
burying
it.
your money, girl. Like
I had "Shoot Me in the Face on a Beautiful Day" by Emma E. Murray. I had her on to talk about this. Uh, and the way that this story is told is very interesting because we are following a woman who is grieving the loss of her son, who is in this abusive relationship. And we kind of get interstitial chapters from a decaying corpse in the woods as well
mhm.
as we find out the truth about her boyfriend and what he has been doing this whole time. But what I thought was really well done in this book is you see a lot of the abuse, you see a lot of the domestic violence on page, but you also see like why she stays. In a way, you kind of see the like little glimmers of sweetness, of affection, of like, oh, he did this thing for her. And
Mhm.
I thought it really rounded out that story and that relationship to where like I can see why this character would make that decision, especially one who is in this place, completely isolated, only has like one friend, like her whole family has turned their back on her. Like, of course, like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't she be stuck in this relationship?
Yeah. I haven't read this one from Emma, but I've read some of her other work. I think it part of the reason I like toxic relationship stories is I find them to be so much more complex and
Yeah,
nuanced and like often more reflective of what it is like to be a human in the world. In my experience, it's very rare to find something black and white. And I think it's really brave of the author and more interesting as a reader to explore these kind of gray areas and like ambivalence, in how you feel about a character or a relationship.
absolutely. And I think horror is a great genre for that. Like, I feel like it is the genre to explore these nuances and complex relationships.
Totally. I put Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter on this list. I think this is more of a thriller than straight horror, but I'll say the horrifying elements are horrifying enough that this would probably be a freezer book for me. It follows a woman whose husband is murdered and who then finds out that he was very much not who she thought he was in the worst ways imaginable. Have you read this one?
I haven't, but I have heard people talk about it for years, so it's been on my TBR, and I feel like I know the reputation it has.
Yeah, very dark. Some of
Yeah,
the darkest content I think that is out there. But it appeals to me because I don't know, I'm sure most people can relate to the feeling of after a relationship has ended for whatever reason, that sense of like, did I ever even know this person? When like
yeah,
other things come to light. And that's its own layer of horror to me, of like having to look back at the whole relationship and go, was any of this real? Was I a fool? If I was, like, how did I miss all of this? And that's the really juicy, emotional stuff to get into, I think.
her I will have to read this then. People have been telling me to read it for years.
I did the audiobook actually on Libby and it was great.
I've heard it's good.
Yeah.
Um, I had Gone Girl on here
Yeah.
again.
It's
'Cause
worthy of repeating. It's sort of the quintessential text. It's the sacred text for toxic relationships.
It's our toxic relationship Bible.
Mhm.
Amy Dunn is the outline. Yeah, I mean, when you're reading this story, you are reading Nick's POV and interspersed diary entries from a missing Amy Dunn. And since I feel like we've basically spoiled it up to this point, I was in my cubicle, like, reading this on my phone in, like, mid 2010s. And when it got to the part where she's like, "I'm alive, bitch,"
Uh-huh.
this was a setup. I have planted every that's like halfway through the book.
Mhm.
That is a halfway reveal.
It's so well done because it's so airtight against Nick up until that point that he definitely killed his wife, and then she's like, "Guess what?"
I'm alive.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like another layer to it is they really get into the movie, the like way that he also knows how to say what she wants during the press interviews. And she's like, well, that's all I wanted to hear. Like, I am
Mhm.
back. Like, let's do this. We're a family. Like, it's crazy. And I love
Yeah,
it.
and this
I love
really
their joint insanity.
yeah, this like superficial and toxic idea that like, yeah, like you are supposed to be playing a role for your partner. And
Yes.
how dare you ever stop? You know what I mean? And I will punish you if you do.
Yeah.
Is like, oh God.
Oh, man, but Carrie Coon, like, screaming at Ben Affleck at the end of like, "Oh my god, you're staying, aren't you? You're
Mhm.
staying."
Mhm. Oh my gosh, and then I mean, it's been out for forever, so I feel like we're allowed to spoil it, but those ending lines of like, "What have we done to each other? What will we do?" Oh, it gives me chills.
Yeah.
Okay, I put on here Hexus by Charlene Elsby. I feel like I rarely hear people talk about Charlene's work, and it is so phenomenal. Like, I want more people to be reading it. So, Hexus is it's a very fractured reading experience, and it follows this woman who is essentially murdering her ex-boyfriend over and over again,
Oh,
sort of in
wow.
different situations and sort of timelines. And I don't know explicitly that this was Charlene's intent, but the way I sort of read it was like perhaps this woman is looking back at like all the times that she wishes she would have killed this man and then like doing it in the narrative. And I cannot help but applaud for a female rage revenge book, and this is very much that.
Okay, you're selling me on this. I read Violent Faculties by her, and I was like, "Oh my god,
She's
that
not
goes there."
messing
No,
around.
she's not. And, like, I should have known with the cover, and, like, when I picked it up from the clash table, I think Christoph was like, how well do you do with,
Yeah,
with gore?"
yeah. I would say Hexus is probably as gory, but not as extreme horror as Violent
Okay,
Faculties.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, this has been on my TBR. Okay, you've made the case. I'm gonna
Okay.
check it out. You've sold
Yeah,
me. I'm sold.
I think you'll enjoy it. And like for further context, I wouldn't put Hexus in the freezer, but I would put Violent Faculties in the freezer.
Good to know.
The last one I really wanted to talk about was A Dowry of Blood from S.T. Gibson. I was hooked from the opening paragraph of A Dowry of Blood. It follows one of Dracula's wives as she retells the story of how they came to know each other and their life together. And, Dracula's this super controlling, powerful vampire, and it's a very sexy book, which I love the sexy mixed in with the horror. So
Yeah.
just right up my alley. I wouldn't say it's a super scary book, but if you're someone that really likes a little bit of heat with your horror and darkness, A Dowry of Blood is a great pick,
Ooh. I've also had my eye on this one. We'll have to check it out. Thank you for the rec.
of course.
Right. Well, one thing I like to ask guests is for a chilling obsession. What's something you've been enjoying lately?
Okay, so I started The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I have so many thoughts.
You know what? Let's get into it. I will say I have only seen season 2 in its entirety because I felt that through TikTok, I essentially watched season 1.
Okay, understandable. I My main comment, so I did have to stop watching at a certain point because this is so truly chilling to me, the experience of watching this show, because, like, there are so many moments like, first of all, they are very much trying to play this as, like, a Real Housewives type show, and, like,
Mhm.
kind of light, super gossipy, whatever. But then there are these moments where they say things that reveal how deeply indoctrinated they are into this incredibly patriarchal religion, and it just made me feel like this extreme cognitive dissonance between like silly gossip show and like whoa, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's right, yes, okay, you are heavily involved in like a highly controlling religion, got it.
Yeah. It like, did you watch season 2 at all?
I don't think I saw season 2. I think I
Okay.
was too
Okay, so
young.
I haven't seen the moments from season 1 then. There's a few scenes where they're talking about this, like, kind of like a Girl Scout, Mormon Girl Scout type thing group that they grew up doing, and, like, they all immediately start doing, like, like, pledge or whatever, like, all at the same time in unison, and it was like, ooh, spooky.
Yeah, that's rough. The moment that got me to turn off the show was they were doing it was like a blessing ceremony for a baby that was recently born. And so it's like in someone's home, a pretty big party, like all kinds of family members and friends are invited. And it feels very baby shower, like whatever, until a group of men stands up and like forms a circle and starts doing this like blessing thing, and then they cut to individual camera with one of the women, and she was like, yeah, so the women can't come up in the blessing ceremony because of course God only talks to men and he doesn't talk to women, and she's just like rolling like this is totally, but it just made me feel like my heart just sank in my chest. I was just like, oh no, like this seems really toxic.
Yeah. It is wild because 'cause they're all, like in it except for Jess. I think she's the only one that's, like, officially left,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's, uh it's interesting. I think even them talking about, like, what they believe about the afterlife, because Miranda's she gets in the 2nd season, her husband left, and, like, Mormons believe, like, each, like, patriarch gets his own, like, kind of planet that he's there, like, with his wives and children,
Right, right,
and
right.
so Miranda's ex-husband left the church, so and when she's told, like, in the afterlife, she's just gonna be floating around and will not be able to see her children because the
Oh,
patriarch has left the church.
wow.
And I'm like,
Super
that's
tough
a that's
break.
a lot.
Yeah. No, that's real dark.
And then Jess, the one that left the church, was like, "Well, I didn't go to the temple to get unsealed from my ex-husband, so in the afterlife, I would still be with him
Yeah.
because, like, I haven't gone to the temple to officially get us, like, unsealed."
There's just so much to unpack. And listen,
There's a
I
lot.
fully support like whatever like religious or spiritual beliefs you have, they work for you, they make you happy as long as you're not hurting anyone. But some of these like deeply patriarchal beliefs, I struggle to believe uh, they could possibly not be harming these women and the men too. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a high control religion, so I'm like, get out of there. Get
Yeah.
out. Get out."
Ugh.
I'm personally on team, "Get out of there." But,
Yeah,
what do I know?
me too. So the show Adolescence. Okay. And beyond just adolescence, I've been on a real kick lately listening to podcasts about the intersection between social media and the rise of right-wing ideology, like extreme right-wing beliefs. And that incorporates obviously like incels and like super misogynistic content online and so I've just been really interested. So I'm the mom of a boy, so from that lens too, in trying to learn more about like how does this happen to
Mhm.
young men and boys, and like how do they get to these really scary places where they have these truly extreme beliefs about their place in the world versus a woman's place in the world. And it has been nothing short of chilling.
It is. As the mom of a son, yeah, like, constantly being vigilant over that, and it is tough to see how social media has done this. Like, I don't really ever go on Facebook, but I swear I go and I see, like, nothing but just, like, really dumb right-wing memes.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
there's
it's a
memes
cesspool.
and there's this like whole manosphere world of content that runs the gamut of just like this sort of like genre of male self-care video, but it always has a tone of like isolationism and like
Misogyny.
it's very opening to American Psycho is how it
Yes.
feels. Where he's like describing his skincare routine and
I know you've definitely seen the one where that guy is waking up at, like, 3 a.m. to do push-ups on his balcony and, like, dunk his face in ice water, like, 3 times.
yes, or, like, rub a banana on his
Yes,
face.
that's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah, and it's concerning, and it seems to really glorify lack of connection with other people.
It does, and there's, like, a faceless woman that comes and, like, brings him a meal.
Yes, hands him things, like, she's only there to serve him, never speaks, we never see her face, and so, obviously all the way from that to, like, the extreme examples like Andrew Tate, but it's a whole pipeline, and it's a chilling part of the world, our present world.
It is, and I feel like it's hand in hand with these, like, declining literacy rates and media literacy. It's these very simplified, dumbed down answers that don't require any critical thought or nuance.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And I heard a really interesting position on a podcast recently, and it's a perspective I've never thought of, but they kind of talked about how the people in power really encourage these super misogynistic ideas because at the end of the day, the people at the top want to continue to make money, of course. They want to pay their workforce as little as possible. And in their minds, okay, if we really want to mistreat the men in our workforce, one of the ways we can get away with that for longer is if we tell them, like, all right, well, you don't have any like real power in terms of your job or like ability to purchase a home or anything like that, but you should have power over the woman in your home. That gives them something to have power over, so they
Mhm.
hopefully don't notice that they're being subjugated by this very select group of men at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, I saw that in a religious structure,
Yeah.
very patriarchal religion. Like, have you ever heard of like the umbrella of God's protection,
No. What is this?
where it's like you are as a woman like under your husband. It is like a very like vertical hierarchical level
I
of
see.
protection, and if you want to get outside of that hierarchy, you will be out of the umbrella and you will be open to bad things happening to you.
Wow. So
So
like
your
trickle
place,
down
if
economics, but with God's grace.
evil, yeah.
Got it.
Another question I like to ask guests at the end of the episode is their final girl song. So, Ray.
I felt so strongly about this. Okay. And I was so excited that I have an answer I'm so passionate about. Halsey's I Am Not a Woman, I'm a God.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can envision it in my mind, right? Like, there's blood all over me. I have a big, like, machete or something, big knife, and, like, the music just comes up, you know?
I am not a woman, I'm a god.
Yes.
Oh,
Absolutely.
oh, that is the vibe. Yeah, that is absolutely final girl vibe. I love that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here today and talking to me about toxic relationship horror.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was so much fun. My favorite thing to talk about.
The most toxic stuff. I love it. Um, Everyone be sure to check out I Can Fix Her from Clash Books. Books in the Freezer is a bi weekly podcast. We post episodes every other Tuesday. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Books in the Freezer, or send us an email at booksinthefreezer@gmail.com. Show notes for this episode and all previous episodes are at booksinthefreezer.com, where you will find a list of the books and movies mentioned, as well as links to different ways you can support the podcast. Things like merch and, of course, Patreon. Patreon supporters can enjoy perks like early release episodes 2 days before they hit the main feed, bonus episodes, and a new bonus series called The House at the End of Fear Street, where I am making my way through R.L. Stein's Fear Street series for essentially the first time. There's like a handful of these that I've already read. It has been absolutely bonkers. Such a fun time. You don't want to miss that. So that is at patreon.com/books in the freezer. There are, of course, plenty of free ways to show your support for the podcast, or honestly, any podcast would appreciate this. Things like leaving a review on a site like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or just sharing about the show on social media. I have been your host, Stephanie Gagne. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time on Books in the Freezer.